Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Tally. This is episode 53, and I'm your host, Brian Tally. The mission and the goal of this podcast is to bring an engaging conversation that will add value to the lives of everyday people. We will inspire, encourage, educate, and tell the stories of America's finest men and women in an effort to motivate you to live your life to its fullest potential. Be sure to follow us on social media and on Spotify. The online information and handles are all located on the scrolling ticker at the bottom portion of your screen. Be sure to like and share the program as well. You can also support the program by going to Anchor FM or Spotify and clicking the support button. Do you own a business? Do you want exposure? Do you want to be heard? Advertise your business right here on this podcast. Program sponsorships include a custom written script to advertise your business to its fullest potential to get the results you're looking for. Email me directly at thetallybill@gmail.com and let's set up an impactful advertising plan to help you and your business get the results you're looking for. Again, email me directly at thetallybill@gmail.com. That's thetallybill@gmail.com. Folks, we have a very special guest joining us on today's program. An American hero, a proud and extremely dedicated husband and father, a fighter, a soldier, and a warrior. In June 2006, Army Sergeant Adam Poppenhouse went on his first deployment as a tanker with the 3rd Stryker Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division to Iraq. On December 3rd, 2006, he and his company were securing a crash site and rescuing a pilot when Sergeant Poppenhouse's vehicle hit an IED in Taji, Iraq. Sergeant Poppenhouse immediately lost his right leg in the blast. Following numerous surgeries over 2 years, Adam elected to have doctors amputate his left leg in order to move forward with a relatively pain-free life. After aggressive physical therapy and rehab, Adam was able to regain an active lifestyle using prosthetics. Now medically retired, Adam is an avid racecar driver and is an active member of Operation Motorsport, Resilience Racing, and Race to a Race 22. These nonprofits are committed to advancing adaptive hand control technologies and harnessing the benefits of motorsports therapy for injured veterans. With that, we are honored to be joined by Adam Poppenhouse, Sergeant, United States Army, retired. How are you?
Man, what an intro. I'm doing fantastic, sir.
Hey, you deserve all of the credit and all of the honor that I could possibly give to you. And I know it will never be enough for what you've been through and what your experience and what your life experiences have been and still are today. But again, we sincerely appreciate you joining us on today's program. There's so much value to be added through men and warriors such as yourself. So again, I want to try to tell your story today in a way that will be meaningful to others, and will also tell the story that it deserves, in a way that it deserves to be told, so the American people out there and all of our supporters out there can understand what it's like to be Adam. But first, I'd like to start with, where did you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
Right outside of Akron, Ohio, in a little town called Cuyahoga Falls. Very suburban. I had a pretty, I think you would call it normal, quote unquote, upbringing. My father worked very hard. My mother stayed home, and I have a brother and a sister. And I went to elementary all the way through high school in the same little town, and it was a good upbringing.
I've had a few people on the program lately that are from Ohio, and we share a commonality. I was actually born in Youngstown, and that's where all of my family is from. Heavily rooted in Youngstown, Ohio. And my mom got out of there when I was 3 and my little brother was 1. And, the word always is, if you don't get out of Ohio, at some point, you will just remain rooted there, and everybody there has the same house, the same car, the same job. That's kind of like how it is living out there in the Midwest. Of course, old steel town, General Motors, a lot of industrial areas back there, for as long as we can go back. But unfortunately, a lot of that has left Ohio. So I do know what you mean when you say that you had a father that worked really hard, and kind of like that old school, Leave It to Beaver type setting, right?
Yes, absolutely. I always joke around, but the movie The Christmas Story, that is very similar to my experiences of some of those holidays.
Man, I miss that. I miss that America.
Absolutely. I'm headed back to see my folks here in a week or two, and I'm very excited to get back there in the fall in Ohio with the leaves changing, where it just smells like football outside, and to get to spend some good quality time with them. As busy as I am, I don't get back home or probably even call my mother as much as I should. So I'm very excited to get back there and be in that nice safe environment.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, you're right, man. There's nothing better than that fall and the changing of the leaves and the kids going out and making snow angels in the leaves and
right,
throwing the football and smelling that that cinnamon and that turkey and just man, that apple pie, just down home America, man. Oh, awesome, man. I love it. So Adam, you would end up joining the Army. Now, why did you join the Army?
It wasn't for lack of opportunities. I was blessed to come from a family who was willing to send me to school, and there was just something inside of me that wasn't ready to commit or hadn't decided what I wanted to be when I grew up. Was what do I want to be when I grow up? And I hadn't found a degree or a path yet that would allow me to do something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, because I had no idea what that was. So the idea of traveling and kind of bettering myself and finding a little discipline seemed like the right route for me. So I started talking to a recruiter, and I actually had planned on turning wrenches on aircraft, and I went on a kind of a hometown recruiting little thing with the recruiter, and I got to do a ride in a soft shell Humvee. And I was like, oh, these things are pretty cool. And then at the arsenal near my hometown in Ravenna, they actually had an M1 Abrams there. So I walked around that thing, and I just thought to myself, that could be pretty cool. And so next thing I knew, I was off to tank school.
Yeah, it's a big difference there. Oh, wow, I really like this Humvee. Oh, wait, shit, look at this tank.
Wow. Yeah, 72 tons. What? Yeah, I want to do that.
Man. So, yeah, tank battalion, man. I mean, Fort Knox, right? You call it the School of Hard Knocks.
School of Hard Knocks, man. I love and hate that place. I had some of the best experiences and some of the worst experiences within those compounds, those confines. Some lifelong friendships and some lifelong enemies. That was quite an experience for an 18-year-old kid.
Absolutely. At 18, you're still, we're not completely like we don't have it figured out. We're there and we're like, oh wow, all of a sudden I'm on my own. This is adulthood, and you're just really starting to really learn about life at that age. And again, building camaraderie with like-minded people, being away from home at that age, and really starting to really understand just who you are. Once you clip those wings and fly away from that nest, and there's a lot of growing that happens when folks join the military, especially joining at 17, 18, 19 years old, like most folks do when they join the military. Now, describe your experience in the Army coming up through Kentucky, and then take us to that deployment that you had overseas.
So initially, after training, it was a little odd. I ended up not on a tank, and I ended up in a Stryker Brigade, where they mesh infantry and mortarmen and tankers together. Man, I have to say, it creates a pretty formative fighting force. So it was kind of a scramble, learn a new vehicle, new tactics. It was a real crash course into what the infantry does, and at the same time, I think we were able to show them the value of a good Overwatch system and what the big guns can really bring for you. But yeah, it was a quick process, and I will say we trained very, very hard for that deployment. I spent about 18 months, I think, at Fort Lewis, Washington, before I deployed in 2006, and very little of that was actually spent in the barracks or at home or at Fort Lewis. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to really digest your surroundings or what's going on. You're just almost trying to survive and get enough sleep so that you can do it again the next day.
Now, 2006, I mean, that was like really the height of the war, and, you know, in Iraq. And those were years that we lost a lot of men and women. You know, there was a lot of casualties, and there was a lot of, you know, fighting that was going on, and ultimately it would go on for 20 years. And when you got there, overseas and in Iraq, what did a day in the life of Sergeant Poppenhouse look like, from maybe waking up in the morning, grabbing chow, and then going out on your routine patrols?
Yeah, initially we went up to Mosul, so northern end of the country, and at that point we were working pretty heavily in effort to spin up the Iraqi army in that area. So doing lots of presence patrols, doing lots of missions together, working with the Iraqi army. So it was day to day. It seemed to always be different. Our tactics would change. We'd have different ROEs, rules of engagement. So it was, and also because of the structure of the Stryker Brigade or our company, we were able to rotate platoons out to do patrols. So even then, in an effort to keep people guessing, our patrol times were always different. We would use different, send different platoons at different times, and generally keep the same area of operations. But yeah, it seemed every day seemed to be different, and you would encounter different struggles, whether that was via the enemy or via your vehicle platform, or there's just the logistics of everything in between.
Yeah, you say changing of the habits. We don't want to do the same thing every single day. Enemy will pick up on that, and before you know it, we're going to be ambushed. We're going to be under attack, and a lot of veterans to this day still use those same tactics, whether it's going to work, whether it's going to the store. I do not travel the same way more than, say, 2 or 3 times in a week, whatever. You gotta switch it up. And it's just something that it is, completely just,
it's ingrained
forced into you. Yeah. Yeah. But that's just the life of a warrior. You're right. That's the life of a warrior, and the life of a protector, especially you, as a family man now, a father and a husband, you're never going to forget that, those protecting ways, right?
Absolutely. Those instincts are hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, I get brain fog sometimes. The instinct. Absolutely. It's the instincts that were going to be forever ingrained in you. Now, what was it like working with the Iraqi army?
That was interesting. Obviously, a huge language barrier and experience level, and at that point, respectfully, the population of talent that we were able to utilize was not great, and there was in my opinion, I might be speaking out of my lane, but there seemed to just be an incredible lack of equipment and funding available to those guys. So we were following around guys, kicking in doors, and they didn't have shoelaces. And it's like, what are we? So there's some frustrating moments trying to figure out what we're really doing here and how effective is this force that we're trying to build, and what can they really do. But again, I was just a young leader, so that's way above my pay grade.
So did you ever feel at times while you were working with the Iraqi army, like, are these guys the enemy, or are they our friends, or, are they going to have somebody, are they going to have that lone wolf in that area? I mean, describe, did it have, was there ever any real sense of anxiety or, just, a sense of, man?
For sure. There were so many factions, it seemed like, in Mosul. You had the Iraqi police, which was one entity, and they were separate from the Iraqi army. And then you had the Iraqi National Guard, and everybody did not seem to really get along, and they all had different equipment. And, it definitely, there was times where I was trying to mentally take a picture of the gear that these people were specifically wearing, so that in the future, if I could ever had to identify somebody in that fashion, it may be easier. But absolutely, there were times where it felt almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing sort of scenario. Mm-hmm. Like I'm, especially in a knowledge share type environment where you may be training or giving some information about maybe our future plans to somebody, and you have to trust them. That's definitely not easy.
Yeah, they're getting, classified information. They're getting patrols. They're getting routes. Of course, as an American, we have rules of engagement. But when you're fighting a terrorist organization, they don't have any rules of engagement. They don't have any rules. And so you never know exactly it is who you're fighting. A lot of the times you'll have children, in a scenario, you don't know if they even have a bomb strapped to these kids. And unfortunately, there's so many horrible stories that come out of there. And again, who's the enemy? And really, who is, on our side, when you're over there fighting this war that is just, extremely difficult to fight. Talk about strategizing. You really don't know how to strategize unless you got boots on the ground and you're working through it every second, every minute, every hour of every single day. That mission's changing. It's constantly changing. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine that, that sort of anxiety for sure. Now, you went through a catastrophic, life-changing event. You went through something that 99.9% of our world's population will never have to go through. You were faced with adversity in ways that nobody could ever imagine. And you did all this while serving your country honorably and defending the United States of America and keeping that Liberty Bell ringing to give us the freedoms here in the United States. The sacrifice, the courage, the bravery. I know you had to make some really tough and challenging decisions on where life would take you. And you could have went two directions with this hand that was dealt to you, Adam. You could have been a victim and had this victim mentality, or you could have gotten up again and stand up. And I mean that with the utmost respect, to stand up again after losing your legs in combat, and stand up and look at that adversity and stare it right in the eyes and say, you are not going to defeat me. You are not going to keep me down. I am a warrior and I will win. I will ultimately win. You're not going to steal anything from me. You're not taking this joy away from me. I'm going to live my life on my own terms. You are not going to live rent-free in my head. Now, again, you would stand again. And I love this. It's giving me goosebumps right now. How would you overcome these difficult obstacles and these life challenges, Adam?
You're giving me a lot of credit because it didn't come immediately. I made a lot of mistakes, and Do you want to ask your question again? I'm sorry. The wife's going through it.
What got you through these challenges? And you said, you know what, Brian, you're giving me too much credit here because it didn't come instantly.
I'm a very stubborn guy, and that's afforded me to be able to do or have some of my successes, but it didn't come easy. I was almost a statistic. Initially, I was self-medicating, and I was angry because I felt like I had lost my identity, my purpose. And so it was a slow process. And in fact, I even fought against using prosthetics. And I was pretty much hell-bent on drinking myself to death. And actually, motorsport is what changed that for me. Because of my limb loss, I couldn't drive a manual transmission car effectively anymore. So I went out and one of the few sports cars that I could afford that had a flappy paddle gearbox, if you will, was a Mitsubishi Evolution, and that freedom that I found being able to drive again, being able to feel some independence, that really fueled at least the beginning of my start in getting myself or my life back together. But it took me about 7 years of staying in my prosthetics as much as I could. A lot of standing around and turning wrenches or watching somebody turn wrenches to learn something new. But anything that I could do to distract myself, to stay on my feet, was really what I gravitated towards. And but I still made a lot of mistakes. I lost a family. I'm now in my second marriage, and I'm very fortunate to have found another partner. I learned a lot of things the hard way, but at the end of the day, I just didn't want to be one defined by my injury or have it beat me. So from there, that was kind of the genesis of everything I've been able to accomplish.
Adam, you said this didn't come easy. You were almost a statistic, and unfortunately, the veteran and military population is an at-risk and extremely vulnerable population. And, that 22 is real, and I see it every day. And that's part of why I've been called to do this program, is to inspire and to let folks know that they are not alone out there in their walk with life. And that, we do evolve, and you can change, and you can save yourself, and you can get 1% better. Now, obstacles and life challenges, they never come easy. I mean, I know people out there that, that have gone through traumatic situations, and the next day they're not like resilient and perseverance. That takes time. That's a lot of stacking 1% betters every single day to finally get to where you're at, to say, you know what? I think I did it. I think I finally crossed that finish line to where now I can say, I can now live a life of gratitude. I can now have that peace and that hope and that love and that joy that has been taken away from me through loss and tragedy and through hardship. And, and I think where you're at today, is that place. You got your beautiful wife that you love. I read your bio, and you are madly in love with your wife, and you have some beautiful children, and and again, you did it, right? You did it. You figured out a way to get past the drinking. You were drinking yourself to death, and you lost a family, and you're going through an identity crisis.
Yes.
Like so many do, right? When you have your livelihood kind of taken away from you, and you're struggling with purpose. Who am I going to become? And again, that's why, I said back there, you had two routes. There was a fork in the road there. And you can go one way or the other. In each way you could go is going to change the course of your life and the roadmap and the blueprint of your life forever. Whether it would have been down a path that would have been a statistic, or down the path that you are on right now. And that is living the new version of Adam Poppenhouse. You have gotten into throttle therapy, man. Adrenaline motorsport.
Yes.
Explain how you got involved with this type of coping mechanism, coping strategy, if you will.
Well, again, it was one of those things where I had to find something to distract myself from the mental and physical nightmare that was trying to navigate life on stilts. Mm-hmm. And it was sort of the same type of moment when I had first seen a tank. The first time I saw it was a brand new R35 GTR on a dyno, which is, if for people that don't know, it's like a treadmill for a car, and you can do some tricky things and make them go faster. Well, that blew my mind. I had never seen something that I thought was so loud and so cool. I was hooked. So I basically just never left that shop again. Shout out to Atlantic Motorsports. And from there, it was like I found that thing, the thing that got me out of bed, that thing that I didn't want to miss. I didn't want to miss out on anything that happened at that shop. I didn't want to miss out on an opportunity to learn something new. And so once I had found that thing, that linchpin, then that's when I was able to really try to focus myself on creating a new identity and having a new career and building a new community. But that's what it was. It's for me, it's been small moments that have been really, really impactful for me.
Now, how has this impacted your life to where you are today? And have you seen dramatic changes in your mood and your everyday walk in this life?
Absolutely. Motorsport now defines my entire life. I have had some incredible opportunities, and I feel like I've taken full advantage. Shortly after I moved to Las Vegas, I started working at the Richard Petty Driving Experience as a crew chief, and that's really where I cut my teeth in the professional side of motorsport. And that, I gotta tell you, as silly as it sounds, when I got to put, crew chief at Richard Petty Driving Experience on my Facebook as employment, it was a really proud moment for me. Mm-hmm. I had not had that since my separation, and it took me 12 years. And then from there, I was introduced to Race 2 or Race 22 here in Las Vegas. A fantastic group of off-road racers, a grassroots organization, but they have done some incredible things, bringing a lot of awareness and supporting a lot of families who are affected by suicide. And they've given me opportunities to co-drive in off-road races, and now to include this past weekend, Team Blind and Resilience Racing and Race 2 Race 22 had a team of 3 amputees, myself, and a Resilience Racing member, John Winker, and Mitch Malott, a single leg amputee, motocross rider. And we conquered 140 miles on a quad and got that thing up on the podium.
Wow.
But the mission there wasn't just the race or what we were doing, and it didn't start there. The Saturday before, the bike that we had developed, the 3 of us blew up. And so about 2,000 miles of driving later, and 3 nights of sleeping in the Race 2 Race 22 shop with the team. We had another bike, and we started the race with very little confidence that it was going to finish. So the emotional release at the finish line of everything that transpired that week, and of all the 30, 40, 50 people that came together to make that happen was overwhelming. It was such a beautiful experience to see these veterans, these civilians, these retirees, the just family supporters all come together in this communal way with a mission to make something happen. And to me, that's where I'm stuck. And newly, I've gotten involved with Operation Motorsport, who have opened up so many more opportunities to me that I can even describe. Their motorsport immersion program. I urge every veteran out there to give it a shot. But I'm now a member of the Skip Barber race team on SRO and TC, and next year hoping to even move on and maybe expand that experience. But there's just been too many people and organizations that are not only willing to help but want to help. And I think if there's a takeaway or a take home from anybody that listens to anything I say, is to not be afraid to take advantage or to go after those opportunities that are afforded to you. It's not charity. It's not a gift. You earned this. We all earned this. We signed that line. We made sacrifices, and there's people that are grateful and want to do fun things to give back to us. And I don't mean that in an entitled way. I don't think I deserve anything more than any other service member, but I do think that we are a special group, and you can take pride in people acknowledging that fact.
I think what you just said is completely heartfelt, sincere, and genuine, and I gotta agree with you. These organizations come together because of the at-risk community and the vulnerable community that the military, veteran, and first responder community is, and of the high risk of veteran suicide and self-isolation and addiction and everything else that comes along with the wounds of war and anxiety, depression, whatever it may be, whatever those challenging life moments may be. And to have that sense of camaraderie again and to work as a team, like you said this last weekend, you worked as a team, that kind of goes back to being in that Stryker battalion, right? And, having that, getting across the finish line. And again, the sense of accomplishment, that's that identity, that's that purpose, that's that when I get out of bed, I want to go do this. Now it seems to me when you started this throttle therapy, adrenaline therapy, you becoming a race car driver, were you introduced to this as an applicant, or have you always just really been drawn to race cars?
It really was post service. My father always tells a story about me when I was younger. He took me to watch some of his buddies race some circle track, some good old boy stuff in Ohio, and I cried and cried and cried because I thought it was too loud and too scary. And so it's been quite a transition, but I think that's why I love it. I enjoy things. The scariest thing I've ever done, and that includes combat, was driving that quad in that race this past weekend. It was absolutely terrifying. It was way more intense and harder than I've ever thought it was going to be, but I absolutely loved it. It was so hard, physically and emotionally, and that to me is the good stuff. I have a group of very close friends, and they all call me Gimpy, and so a lot of people hear that and they're just taken aback, and they just, how disrespectful. But I take it as a term of endearment, because that's how, if you're sitting on the couch, nobody's calling you Gimpy. If you're sitting with a blanket on, nobody can tell you don't have legs. If you're out there trying to do stuff, you might look a little bit different, then you can take it as a term of endearment. And that to me, I think, is a life worth living.
Well, and come on. It's the veteran community. We all know we love dark humor and all that other stuff. And them calling you that is just like calling you brother.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's awesome that you live to fight another day, and you're like, hey man, I'm living a life of gratitude. You can call me Gimpy all you want, buddy, and I'll just take it, and I'll take it all in stride.
Right, you just stitch it on my shirt. I'll take it.
And you'll see me on that stage rocking that quad and my big award, my cup. You know, that big cup they give you when you win races and all that stuff. And
yeah, one of the most amazing things that I've ever experienced was climbing the fence across pit lane with the Skip Barber race team and celebrating as the car went underneath us. Kevin Bohm. I mean, nobody has those experiences, and I'm just very, very fortunate to be in a position to do these things. And like you said, it didn't come easy, and it wasn't an overnight thing. And I still try to work on myself a lot.
Sure. You
know, I can always be a better husband and better father and a better driver or a better mechanic. But I think, you know, if you find that thing, again, that pushes you, that gets you out of bed, that you don't want to miss, a lot of things become easier. It's easier to get out of bed and take the kids to school so that you can get to the shop so you don't miss out. You know, if you find that for you, you know, and then just full-heartedly go for it. Immerse yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, every day is an opportunity to grow, you know. Absolutely. And like I say, a lot of this program, you know, we evolve and we grow into who we become, you know. And you know, and one thing stood out to me, Adam, that you said that really hit me, because I went through my own challenging times and still do every day. I mean, life is a struggle. I deal from a lot different things than you, and you know, from me. But I would end up doing something that scared the living crap out of me. It scared me to death. And I did it anyways. Mm-hmm. And I never really understood what courage meant and what being brave meant. I never understood what perseverance was, or resilience, or adversity. These were all just words to me. I knew the definition, but I didn't know what it meant. I had never gone through anything like this before. And when you said that was the scariest thing I've done, even in combat, was this past weekend on that quad. What I always have said, once I went through my moment of, if you're scared, that means you need to do it more. If it scares you, do it.
Yes.
Because that right there is what I've learned, is that you cannot grow if you are in your comfort zone. Well said. When you go through life challenges and these obstacles and the daily grind of life is hard. It's not easy. People get so attached to that comfort zone, and they become anxiety riddled and depressed, and they get overweight, and then they fall into this victimhood. And a lot of those people will never experience life as folks like you and I now are, who are persevering and have shown great signs of resilience. And yes, we're not perfect, and we still struggle, and we still go through these life moments and challenges. But we're across that finish line, and now we're living. And so now we get to experience that life through a different set of lenses that we never got to experience when we were over here self-isolating in a chair and almost becoming statistics because of the challenges and the obstacles and everything else that came our way. So when you said that really hit me. And I think that's one of the most important things to take away from this, folks. Even if it scares you, do it anyways. Do it anyways. And that's coming from a man who lost his legs, folks, in combat to give you your freedom, to give you the life of living in the greatest country that this world has ever seen, because of folks like Sergeant Poppenhouse. Now, when you started this race car driving therapy, again, you started as an applicant, but now you're a mentor. Now you are a mentor, and maybe even become the name and the face of a lot of this because of the connections that you have right now. And not just the connections with these organizations, but the connections you're making with other veterans out there and first responders. Can you share some of those experiences on some of these connections that you've had with these other veterans, and have you saved lives?
Oh, I don't know if I can take credit for anything of that nature. But I will say that because I've been afforded so many opportunities, lately it has been, or is becoming more of a passion to make sure that other veterans are taking advantage of their opportunities. And most recently, shout out to David Hawley. He is a Race 2 to Race 22 member and Operation Motorsports e-racing driver. Operation Motorsport has an e-racing series that utilizes the iRacing program, and every Tuesday night we all get together and we have a sprint race. And David is an incredible guy. He has a wild story. He and his wife were actually wounded in the shooting in the Las Vegas Strip at the concert massacre. And so being able to get him the equipment necessary and signed up, and seeing the improvement over the season that he's made, from starting from not knowing what the flags meant at the racetrack to now being a very competitive driver, it makes me emotional because I hope that he found that thing. So that's really become passionate. My new passion is trying to help the next guy or gal find theirs, and if it can be in motorsport, then I want to help them find the position that's best suited.
That's what makes you you. You are a selfless servant. You served your country honorably, and guess what? You're still serving your country today through improving the lives of other veterans. And that's really where your leadership comes into play, to say, guys, look, this works. It works. And I'm a living example. I'm a living testament to this. And when you care for somebody enough to reach out and say, follow me, I will get you to where you need to be. It's going to take hard work, but if you trust the process, you will begin to live that life of gratitude, again, that we all deserve to live, and have that love and find that peace and find that hope and that joy. You know, I mean, you're watching your family grow up before your eyes, and you have been given that second chance in life, really. And for you to share that experience with others to improve their lives, that's why it makes you emotional, because you are out there doing you're doing the work, and you're seeing it happen, and you're seeing the results, and that's enough to make anybody emotional, knowing that you're changing lives out there. You're changing lives through your own hardship and through your own adversity. And again, being that shining example to so many of us out there. And that's who makes you you. Now, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time, and the effort to join us on this program today, because you sir are a living example of what you can be through pure strength, through determination and dedication. And I know your opinion matters to a lot of people out there. You are wise, unlike many people. Again, you suffered a catastrophic injury that 99.9% will never see, will never face. Do you have any advice out there or words of wisdom for anybody out there that may be listening, regardless on if they're in the military or if they're a veteran or if they're a first responder? I want you to speak to our broad audience out there and just maybe deliver some words of encouragement and inspiration to the folks that may need it out there the most today.
Again, I don't know if I'm the guy to take wisdom from, but I'll tell you one of my biggest struggles in my Army career, in my motorsport career, in social and personal relationships, is ego. Timely ego can be incredibly effective. Once you find your thing, then be confident, have an ego, but be humble. It took me a very long time to learn humility. I knew drive, I knew grit, I knew effort, but I didn't know humility. And so being able to swallow my ego and place it appropriately, especially in times of need, that was my biggest lesson. Is don't let your ego keep you from succeeding.
And that can also be said for reaching out if you need help. There's so many folks out there that that are too proud to say I need help, or stigmas attached to it, or whatever. So I think what you said also can be said for that as well.
A lot of the opportunities I've had and taken advantage of, including a home from Homes for Our Troops, the hardest part was reaching out. The hardest part was having the courage to swallow my ego to reach out.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, there are so many organizations out there, good, salt of the earth people that want to help. So many out there that just want to help, and they're just waiting for that veteran to show up and to take advantage of a program, again, that they have earned. And they're doing it through the good of the country. A lot of these folks that are out there, like Debbie and Bill, I know them personally, great people over at Race 22. And they don't have to do this. They work full-time jobs, but they do this to improve the lives of veterans in their community. They do it to give those at-risk veterans, and again, these vulnerable veterans, time out of their comfort zone to grow and to adapt and to build new relationships and to hang out with guys like you who are a mentor to so many. I got to ask you this, Adam. Who do you look for? Who do you look to for strength?
My wife. My wife is an incredibly strong person. I spiritually and emotionally, I think she helps me more than anyone else. And I have traveled an incredible amount. I've missed birthdays. I've missed anniversaries and funerals, and she has always been supportive of me chasing my dream, whatever it may be. And so she without a doubt is my moon rock. She's my source of strength. She is everything that I want to be.
That's very nice of you to say that. I love couples that are madly in love with each other. I've been married almost 25 years, got 4 beautiful kids, and I can tell you it does take 2. That's awesome that you would, think so highly of your wife and give her all the credit, really for the strength that you look for, in your life, because that's amazing, and really it all starts at home too. So, when you raise your kids and, you're showing them that, that you love your wife and you're raising your kids that way, and they're going to be the next generation of great human beings, and yeah, that's awesome, man. So how can our listeners connect with you and connect with Resilience Racing and Race 22 and Operation Motorsport?
So each at their websites, Race to Race 22 on Facebook. You can contact me directly at info@Resilience Racing, or you can contact Operation Motorsport. They're also multinational. So if you're in Canada and happen to catch this, Operation Motorsport is up there ready to serve you as well. So I urge everybody again, put that ego in your pocket, fill out the beneficiary application, and see what opportunities might be out there for you.
Absolutely. And that is great advice. Guys, take advantage of these programs. They will help you. They'll help you learn and grow. They will educate you. They'll get you out of that comfort zone, and they will get you back on track to living that life that you deserve to live, and with the happiness and joy and all the gratitude that comes along with it. So, Adam, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. You're a very good interviewer, and I appreciate the platform.
We sincerely appreciate everything you have done and continue to do for our great nation and in the veteran community. Our country can't thank you enough for your service, your sacrifice, courage, dedication, and bravery. You set an inspiring example for all of us, and it's truly honorable.
Thank you. That's very heartfelt. Thank you.
Until next time, for Tuesdays with Tally, this is Brian Tally. Good night, Semper Fi, and God bless.